So tell me about some of the characters then. Fred Eyre is a character who looms large.
Yeah, Fred Eyre is tremendous for the drinks industry in Kings Lympton. A fantastic character, amazing. I mean, he worked for my granddad for many years. He was an early entrepreneur. Fred was one of the early ones that knew exactly how to look after his money. He would bank his wage, and then he would do cutting spars for thatching. He'd kill rabbits, kill moles, skin them, and he made extra money. So he was like an entrepreneur of his day, making extra money. And I remember one year he tried it on my granddad. He said, "I've been offering £1 a week more to go and work for a local contractor. You know, do you want to match it?" And my granddad went, "No, you better go and work for a local contractor." And Fred's face dropped because he expected granddad to match it. Granddad, "No, you better go." And my granddad knew what was going on because he knew, he already spoke to the contractor. He said, "Well, I'm offering him," and the contract would be hard work because they'd go from farm to farm setting up. They'd have to stay away. They'd be driving miles, and it would be thrashing days. It'd be physically, manually. And Fred then was committed. So he went for a year to the contractor, and granddad rang and said, "Do you want to come back?" "Oh, yes, please," he said. So he came back again.
And took the pay cut?
I didn't ask the question. Fred wouldn't admit to that. But it was a few years later, and Fred had saved all this money. He had a chance. He had £1,500 in his pocket to buy his council house. And he came to see my granddad and my dad, and he goes, "Yeah, go and buy it. But I've got the money. I don't want to part with it." So my granddad took him into South Moulton, said, "You're buying that council house," and made him give, because he wouldn't have done it otherwise. So you buy it, it's yours now. And I'm sure John Eyre's pleased that he did. But Fred was just, yeah. And he was always up for devilment. If you're working with him and if you were pitching, he would try and get you to drink more cider. So when you're pitching sheaves, you've got to get it from the rick onto conveyor, up onto the machine that's actually doing the what they call the recombing, clean the ears out. And he would try and get you drunk. That was his aim all day. And the bloke, I knew what he's doing, so I'd spill it or hide it or do something with it. But there's a chap come to help us, a chap from the village, and he didn't realise what Fred was doing. And by 1 o'clock, he was absolutely smashed, and he fell asleep in the corn hedge. Well, then Fred had to do his job as well. My dad came, "Oh, that's right, Fred, you have to do his job as well now then." So Fred did 2 lots of jobs, so it worked against him there.
I remember in the pub, you had to make a split-second decision whether you went one way to see Fred or the other way to see Ken.
Ken, yes, right. Yeah, we ended up buying both of them pipes. Yeah. Then Bill Westcott would come over as well, and you could understand Bill, even if you were Devonshire. The more he drank, the less you could understand him. And I can remember coming down with friends from Mag College, and there's one from Essex. He went to Eton. There's another guy, a Zimbabwean guy there, and they're all in this pub, totally amazed. It was 33p a pint of cider at the time, trying to listen to Bill and to Ken and Fred, and they had no idea. And they were talking to my dad as well, and the communication, and my sister was interpreting between them. "What did he say?" "It's the other gate." "T'other gate." Yeah, what? And it was, but after a while they got to pick up some of his words, and the Devon colloquialisms. You know, it's just so funny, absolutely brilliant. I can remember Karen's dad, Johnny, used to drive the snow plough home again. So because he lived in Kings Lympton, Kings Lympton was always clear, so he'd drive the snow plough home. So he was a local hero because he wasn't meant to, but he had to drive it home, and he would keep Kings Lympton clear. So.
All those characters all disappearing.
Yeah, there's like Fred Eyre, a classic character. You see him in the pub. He was always great. You could franchise him for local pubs because you don't mind buying him beer. If I went to Cornwall in a strange pub and an old boy come chatting to me, I would buy him and he would rubbish he made up. A little bit of truth with it, but most of it was made up. But you don't mind that. It's all part of it. And most of us don't know because it's gone. We wouldn't know if it's made up or not. And there was Hoppy, another one. There was Bryant Sanders, Roland Sanders. We were blessed in Kings Lympton with some real characters.